What is going on, guys? JHoyt back with you today. Welcome back to episode number 30, the big 3-0. We are back with the off season, and what a very disappointing year it was for us. So we barely get into the playoffs, but we almost kind of got what we deserved for not making as much of an impact as before. So you guys probably remember 93 points overall in the regular season, 40, 29, and 13 and as our total record. So we barely, very barely squeaked into the playoffs, and we ended up getting eliminated by, I believe it was the Winnipeg Jets, if I remember correctly. But we are here with the off season. It's time to regroup and come back, make a plan for next year. And where that plan starts is the entry-level draft. So we'd had no retirements other than Jalmerson, which we kind of knew what was going to happen. But other than that, we're not really going to be changing the team a crazy amount unless a couple of the guys from our trade block ends up getting traded. But I don't have any plans to do that right now. But we never know what could happen here upcoming this offseason. But if you look at most of our team, we have some really good young talent like Solani, like Koivu. Even Strome I consider decently young. But then like DeBrincat, McLeod's even still young. Like guys like that I want to build around. And it sucks because right now we're kind of in a little bit of cap crunch, I'll call it. As you can tell at the bottom of the screen there, you can see our cap space right now. 200,000 for 200,000 43 million, whatever it is. But not a lot of money, basically. Not very much. So going forward, we're gonna need to shred a little bit of salary to even get anything remotely close to what we want. But that all obviously it starts with that entry-level draft. So let's get into it and kind of see where we're going to go from there. So as you guys may remember, we do not have a first-round pick this year. Can I still see? Yeah, I can. Draft board. So you can kind of see our picks going forward here. So we have a second-round pick, a third-round pick, a fifth-round pick, a sixth-round pick, and 2 seventh-round picks this year. So no first or fourth-round pick this year. But there is some guys on the trade block that I am interested in. Not on the trade block, on the watch list. That's what I meant, not on the trade block. So let's simulate to our pick here. Let's see if any of those guys end up going. So we'll check out the first kind of bit of the draft. And oh boy, there is some good picks up here. 84 overall. Medium franchise left wing. Our Ryan Myers here went first overall. Seems to be a very good pickup for the LA Kings. It's pretty solid. Then we got an 81 overall, 78, 80, 78, 78. And then it kind of drops off after that. So really good top 6. But other than that, it drops back off to that medium 60s, maybe a little bit higher than that. 76 overall, going a little bit later in the first round, 73. All right, so we got some decent guys here. I'm actually just looking for any of the players I did kind of watch, or I guess pin would be the correct word. Let's go up here to the main. Okay, so, he went. No, the one guy I wanted was this Chuck guy. But it looks like he ends up going to the Islanders. But he seemed to be a decent little pickup, 61 overall. But let's see what we can actually pick up. So it looks to be some lower end picks, some lower 60s. Probably going to take a while to get to the NHL if they do at all. But let's see here. So we still got a couple of watched players here. And I think I know what I'm going to go with. But let's just take a quick little look to what I did here in the draft. So we got Darren Recchi up here. 40-win season for him out of the USA Central. Decent as far as grades go across the boards. And he's got a really good similar style to Roberto Luongo. So that kind of caught my eye, especially when I saw that Luongo comparison. Then up here, all those guys are grinder. He does have kind of good strengths and decent grades there. Not the best, obviously. But the other thing I saw down here, now obviously it's probably not going to be a franchise player, but I saw the franchise tag there, and it definitely made me a little curious to see what he was going to be. So I kind of got 3 options on the screen. I want to go back and look at our goalies real quick. So I'm going to call a timeout So that gives us a couple of extra minutes so we don't, get kind of auto-drafted. So we got 5 minutes. Are we going to use it? Probably not. But I don't actually remember our goaltender situation. So let's go take a quick look at that before we get going. So yeah, so we have Saros. We have Mrazek. Okay, so one of those guys is gone. Gravel's probably gone. McMill. Okay, so we have 2 pretty good young players, so I'm not really worried about that. Okay, so I'm probably not going to go that goal. I'll probably take a risk on this franchise center. I don't think he's actually a franchise player, though. But he seems to be a little bit decent. So let's just give him a try. Let's see what happens. Maybe he'll end up turning out to be a franchise player. 63 overall, 2-way forward. Not a franchise player, but we guess we'll have to wait and see what he kind of turns out to be. So I think I'm going to wait for trading until free agency comes around. I'm probably not going to do anything during the draft, but we'll probably get the 3rd round pick in here, and then we'll simulate right through to the re-sign stage. So what I'm looking for is basically the best available player. I know it's a very boring answer, but that's kind of what I'm looking for. David Bruin here seems to have some pretty good strengths and weaknesses there. He's like a defensive defenseman there. A sniper that can't get points. Interesting. A defenseman. What was it? A bottom 6 high. Interesting. Okay, who was that one player up here that I saw? Was it him? No. It was one of these players. Was it Bruin here? Yeah, let's go with Devin Bruin. I like his strengths. Leadership ability, foot speed, and offensive instincts. Let's give him a try. He's probably going to be offensive defenseman, I would guess. Yeah, 58 overall, top 6, so not terrible. But let's get right into the re-sign stage, see what we can come up with, and hopefully we can make a team for next year that actually makes sense. So here we are after the draft is all said and done. It's now time for the re-sign phase. And we didn't make anything else happen other than what you guys saw in the actual video. Let's do it. Let's go through our team once again this year. And I kind of want to re-sign Duchesne, but then again, I kind of want to go to free agency with him. Actually, he wants a really low contract. Actually, let's try to give him a 2-year contract at like $4.5 million. See what happens. Yeah, because 86 overall. Even if he declines a little bit or he starts sucking, we can always just trade him because $4.5 million isn't that much. Michael McLeod, if we can get you to the same contract, perfect. If we can get you like $3 million, I'd be happy with that, honestly, because that gives us a really core top 3. I may look for someone different to go in our top 6 potentially, but not as of right now. Taves, we're still gonna be looking at how we're gonna go about him. I don't really want to buy him out because he's just one more year, and then he's kind of there. JT Comfer, if we can get you like 1.25, that'd be wonderful. I think I offer him that same deal like every single year, but he usually never accepts. He always wants like 1.5. Then this is where it gets interesting. So we don't have any real centers that we can sign this year, but we have these 3 still. So what I think I'm going to do is get rid of Sejan. Get rid of him. We'll keep Judas for another year because he's still 24. Kemp, you just are not good. So far we have 8 centers. Obviously with the but with all of our top line centers right now, we have 5 total that are in the NHL. But moving over to left wings now, obviously we got Koivu as our number 1 guy, but who's going to be after him? So obviously we have LeBlanc. I'm almost kind of regretting getting him a little bit because of his contract only. Is he going to be a good player for us? Maybe, but for right now, he's on my trade block as well, so we're going to have to see what he does. I'm guessing, yeah, he's going to be for the next 4 years. So it's either, wait 2 more years, try to trade him. It all kind of depends. Boone Jenner. Wow. He has actually been such a big piece of our team. Although he's not doing like top line numbers, he's still doing really, really well. Like, obviously 38 points last year. You know, it doesn't look or seem crazy, but he actually was a pretty good player for us. I kind of want you down in the 1.5. We're going to offer him 1.25 to start. Probably go to 1.5 if he doesn't want that one. This guy, I'm not even going to try to pronounce your name, but you're gone. A bunch of the prospects there are still going. So guys like Poulon, and over here at centers, there was Shen there. Or Chen, I should say, not Shen. Those guys are going to get an opportunity to get, try to make their way up to the NHL next year. Right wings, similar story. We got 3 of them right here. Where they're going to fit in next year, I am not exactly sure. Hartman, if you could do a 1 year at 1.5, I would re-sign you. But other than that, we may have to get rid of you depending on what you do want for your contract. Norgren, we've had you for a couple years. You haven't really done anything for us. So that's kind of frustrating. Entwistle, I'm probably pronouncing that name wrong. He's been doing good. He just hasn't grown. So we're going to give both these guys probably 1 more year. If they don't perform or they don't grow any, we're probably just going to get rid of them or maybe trade them towards the end of the year. Jerry Turris, I do want you because you've been doing pretty decent in the juniors. Plus, it gives us an extra body on that right wing side. Now over to defense, where it's a very strange place. Very strange. So we got Boquist signed, we got Lindgren signed, we got Fowler signed. But after that, our kind of lineup is, unsure of right now. So Severson, I do want to keep, but I don't really want to. What kind of contract is that? I don't really want to sign him long term because he's not really growing any. So how about we do like a 2-year at $2.5 million contract. That way we can see what he does in the next year or two and kind of determine his fate. Zidkov most likely will start with us up in the NHL, barring him sucking in the preseason. Yaros, I cannot say enough nice things about you. I definitely want you back. Even if it's just for depth, he absolutely played incredible. And, you couldn't ask for more from a 78 overall player as he is. But then we kind of got our AHL players, and we have a lot of them. And some of them are kind of getting left behind. It sucks, but some players just aren't growing as fast as I want them to. Put Lundqvist, you have done pretty well for us. You're 23 and I'm 78 overall. I'll take that. I could definitely use another year out of him. Zancarno, obviously we still have him. And then Elliott, the one player we tried up in the NHL and didn't do anything. So, obviously, we're going to try to give him another opportunity up in the NHL at some point, probably during the preseason. But as for right now, he's just going to be another player on the books, not in the books, but on the books. But that's all for re-signing our defensemen. Let's get on to goaltenders. So this is where we have to make a pretty big decision. I'm honestly probably going to look for a different goaltender in free agency. I think I say this every year, but Saros is just, I don't know. He's been really good. He's been okay. He's been pretty good, but he hasn't really won us anything. So it could be potentially time to get a new goaltender. Not exactly sure, but now here's a big decision. So now we have to either keep Mrazek or Hutchinson. I guess who did we sign of last year? I think we traded for Mrazek and we had Hutchinson, right? Yeah. So we're gonna keep. Gosh, I want to keep them both, but I can't. We're gonna keep Mrazek just because he's better overall. I know that doesn't really mean anything, but we're gonna keep him. Again, I'd love to keep Gravel too, but he's just not really growing past that like 76 overall kind of goaltender range. and we have two guys behind him that are doing just as well, if not better, than him, as spoken for by Mr. Casey McMillan. So I'd love to keep him, but I think it's time to move on from him. Saros, I'd like to re-sign you if possible. Not to that crazy of a deal though. So let's try to jump it down to, you know, like $4 million for maybe 2 years. Mrazek, if we can get like a 1 at okay, so he wants like $2 million. Probably should have checked what they want first. But let's go 1.5 on him. I am gonna look for another goaltender in free agency, just an FYI. So let's simulate a couple of days, figure out who's gonna resign, who's gonna stay, and who we're gonna have to find spots for on our team. Alright guys, welcome back here. We are now in free agency. And I know you guys didn't see much of the re-sign stage, and that's mainly because not a lot of people re-signed with us, and that's very sad. But we held on to pretty much everyone we could have, but obviously we had to let go of some people that just did not want contracts. So we were able to re-sign Matt Duchene. We re-signed Michael McLeod, which was great. I love having those guys back. However, we are losing JT Comfort to free agency. He did not want to sign with us for a reasonable contract. So we're going to need a new fourth-line center, or we'll have somebody come up from the AHL. I know Shen's looking forward to that, and maybe Thomas, maybe even Dudas. But other than that, we have all of our left wings re-signed, our right wings, all except for Ryan Hartman. Same thing with him. He did not want to re-sign with us. Defense, we got everyone back, I believe. And then goaltenders, we cut Mrazek and Hutchinson. Or no, I cut Hutchinson with the intention of signing Mrazek, and then Mrazek didn't want to sign with us. So I was like, well, I kind of probably should have checked with that before. So that leaves us with 3 goalies, basically. So I'm going to look for a starting goaltender. I'm going to look for some depth, obviously. But here comes the bad news. So in order to sign, I already looked at the free agents, mainly because I wanted to see, you know, what kind of the plan was going forward this year. But as you could probably see, or I guess we'll talk about here in a second, cap room this year is very limited. So we don't have as much flexibility as I want to. So before we really focus on who the free agents actually are, take a gander down in the bottom left there. Our cap space, $5.3 million, which is not very good. It would get us, you know, a decent player that would help us, but it doesn't really help us to get the players that we actually want. So, like I said, I already did look through the free agents, not really too closely, but if we wanted to go and get kind of, I guess we only really need 2 of them, but I'm going to probably get a third. But 2 players I'm really targeting this offseason is a big defenseman and a big goaltender. And that's going to be down here just a little bit in Brady Shea. Now you can already probably tell, top 4 defenseman. That's something I was looking for. I didn't want the top 6 guy, right? We don't care about that anymore. We wanted top 4. Now, I even wanted top 2, but we couldn't get lucky this year and find any of them. But obviously, you can tell his salary is way more than we have. Not way more, but a little bit more than what we have. So immediately, we'd have to shred some calories to even some calories, some salaries. We got to shred salaries, not calories. Well, calories too, but salaries for Brady Shea. Obviously, we're not gonna get him right at $6 million, so we'd have to pay a little bit more. And I kind of planned it out for the 2 players that I'm really going for a lot of extra money just in case. But Brady Shea, probably going to be towards the $7 million mark if we want to get him. The second player I want is actually over on the goaltender side, and that's going to be Mr. Martin Jones. And the only reason I want Martin Jones is that 88 overall. You know, Saros isn't really cutting it right now, and, you know, he just, I don't want to say inconsistent. He's been good, but he hasn't really been a great starter, which is what we were kind of hoping for when we got him. So my goal is to probably try to get Jones for a couple of years, and hopefully by that time we can either find another goaltender or draft a goaltender or find a different one in free agency or whatever the case. So in order to get Jones and Shea, we need to spend a little bit of money, which I don't necessarily want to do, but we kind of have to do it, which I need about another $10 million, basically, to allow that extra kind of space, because Shea probably towards that $7 million mark, Martin Jones probably towards that $7.5 million mark. I allowed 7.5 for both. Math is $15 million. So in order to do that, we're going to have to trade a couple of players. And I didn't want to go too crazy as far as trading goes. I have not planned out any of the trades, but I kind of have a couple of guys I'm going to be kind of looking to trade here on our team. So you probably already saw over on the trade block there. I have Jonathan Toews there, Patrick Kane, and Cam Fowler. Probably not Kane, at least right now. He's kind of there if I get something kind of during the offseason or during the regular season, just to kind of see if we can get something for him while he's there. But my thought behind this is those older players that are making a lot of money that aren't really producing to what they're being paid is kind of where my thought is. So Jonathan Toews, as you can tell, $6 million, 80 overall. If we were to start the season right now, he'd be competing for a spot on our fourth line, I believe. So $6 million. With that $6 million, we could get, almost get Shea or almost get Jones with a little bit more added on to that. So unfortunately, it's the end of an era for Jonathan Toews. He's going to be no longer our captain as long as we find a trade for him. So I'm going to take some time, try to find a trade for him, and possibly I'm thinking Kevin LeBlanc too. That'd be $9 million total, and that'd get pretty close to what I want, and potentially one other person, but I'm not exactly sure. So let's find some trades. Let's see if they make sense, and hopefully our team won't be too much different going forward. All right, guys, so we're going to have our first trade, and although I don't really want to do this one, I kind of have to, mainly because that Cam Fowler, he's making a lot of money, but he's still performing decently. But if we can get Brady Shea like we've been talking about, that's going to be the ideal situation. So that way we can pay him the money to perform at that level, and it kind of gets this contract off of our books. But if we get Shea, then it's going to obviously have another long contract on there as well. So I'm doing a 1-for-1 trade with the Islanders here with Michael. I'm guessing it's Michael Marcinko. I don't know how to pronounce that. But basically, young player, top 10 overall pick from a year or two back, I think. Or 3 years back. Performed really well in the AHL. So I'm pretty excited for him if we can get him. So I think we have more trade value on our side. Am I really going to worry about like a third-round pick, maybe even a second? Probably not. But what's this player up here that I just saw? Betts. So 6th overall pick 2 years ago. Playmaker. Were those numbers in the NHL? They were. Huh. Would I rather have like a third-round pick, or would I rather have this guy? Would they get rid of him? Probably not. But I kind of want him. But I'm not going to be able to get him. So I'll just move on. Let's get a third round pick from this year. Yeah, that looks pretty fair. Third round pick doesn't work. All right. So let's go down and get a couple of maybe a third from next year and a fourth. Okay, it's too far off. Okay, what about just a third from next year? Still no? All right. All right, how about this trade? Fowler in a 7th for Marcinko in a 4th. Should go through, and it doesn't. Sweeten I've sweetened it already. Islanders, I've sweetened this teal already like 4 times. There we go. Finally, the trade goes through. So now we basically have to get Shea. Whether or not we get Martin Jones is, a thing for later on. But now we have to get Shea in order to make that all worth it. So I'm going to try to make one more trade. We have about $11 million in cap room right now. But I'm going to try to make one more trade. See if that works out. See if we can clear up a little bit more cap room so we can get both the players we do want. All right, we're going to have our second trade under our belt. Obviously, it's only been a couple of seconds for you. But for me, it's been a little bit. So second on our list here is Mr. Kevin LeBlanc. We're going to be trading him to the team that's not far from the Islanders. It's actually the team right after. But we're going to be trading him for a prospect center. Nothing too crazy. Just a guy with a decent bit of trade value. Plus a 4th round draft pick. Will this go through? Yes, it does. Perfect. First time through. And it looks like we're going to be keeping Taves and Kane, at least to start the year. They're still going to be on our trade block, but we'll have to go see what happens going forward. But now, we cleared 2 big contracts that I didn't really necessarily want to do, but kind of had to do. So now we have $13 million. Now we basically have to get both of the players that we wanted to get. And they're going to go quick. So we got to make sure we put in a good offer. I really wish I could see the offers. That way I can kind of tell what to offer him. But Montreal and Anaheim are the 2 teams here. So let's try $7 million at 6. Do you want to go 5 years? Okay, let's go 7.25 at 5 years. See if he wants that. And then the second player. So 7.25. That leaves us with what, 6 something? So there's only 1 offer in on him right now. So we need to clear up a little bit of space. Do I really want to get Jones though? All right, we're back once again with, salary cleared, and we got a couple of offers made out to a couple of different players. So let's just go through it real quick. So we approached Brady Shea. We offered him $7.25 million at 5 years. And then familiar face to us, Sam Bennett. We got him a while ago. I believe it was in this one. Maybe it was in Seattle. I'm not sure. But if it is, Sam Bennett will be back with us, hopefully at a 1-year, $1 million deal to play on that 4th line. And then after that, I don't think we made the decision. We're not going to go after Martin Jones. It's just trying to find space and trying to find people to take on Taves or Kane's salary. Is basically just non-existent. So we decided to go with Tyler Parsons. We offered him a 1-year deal, I believe, maybe it was 2, at 1.75 there. He's been doing pretty decent in whatever team he came from, and he's still young, and it's a really kind of low-risk kind of thing. So 3 players offered. Not sure who's going to actually sign, but let's see who signs, and hopefully we have those new faces in Chicago jersey soon. Before I could even simulate more than I think we're on our 2nd day here, we get a trade offer. Patrick Kane for a 1st-round pick and a 3rd-round pick. So let's go see what's going to happen here as far as this trade goes through. So what it mean for us is we're losing a top 6 forward. Let's go actually see those. So we have 3 centers there. Then we'd have 1 left wing, so that's 4. And then we'd be losing Kane. So then we'd have 5, 6. That's if we put McLeod in the top 6 somewhere. So do I really want to do this is the real question here. So if we were to trade Patrick Kane, there is some forwards we could go after. That 1st and 3rd does look pretty good. Let's go see where he'd be playing over here in Florida. So it is in the Western Conference as well. So even if we go to the playoffs, we're not going to see him till that Stanley Cup final. But this is actually a pretty solid team. What? So they have pretty good centers, pretty good right wings, left wings. He'd probably fill in, was he an 85? So he'd fill in probably in that 2nd line right wing role. But a lot of players would kind of get pushed out in a sense. So Florida, pretty decent team. They got a good young goaltender there. Not really young, but... do I want to get rid of Patrick Kane? Let me take a minute. Let's try to figure this out. So it's taken a little bit to come to this decision, but I feel like I'm going to make this trade. I mean, this is probably the most we're ever going to get out of Patrick Kane. And as I was just looking, obviously he's been a great player for us ever since we started this franchise mode series. He hasn't put up under 76 points in a single year. Some 80-plus point years. Obviously a 100-point year before we started. But he's been really solid in a power play goals, power play points, game-winning goals. Been a really solid player. But to kind of maximize his potential, not really potential, but his trade value, maximize what we can possibly get for him. A 1st-round pick and a 3rd-round pick both next year. I feel like we're going to do it. So Thank you, Patrick Kane, for all of your years of service. We greatly appreciate it, but I think it's time to move on. Hopefully we get a trade for Taves too, so that way I don't feel nearly as bad. But I think we're going to do it. So I hate to do it because obviously, you know, Kane and Taves are that dynamic duo, but hopefully it's going to be, you know, better for our team. So I guess usually I would have simulated up to, you know, of where we would see if Shea signed with us or not. But now we kind of have an open spot on our team. So I guess let's go take a look and kind of see what's going on as far as our forwards go here. So if Shea does sign, that's 7.25. So we'll still have like $12 million to spend. So you'll get like Ovechkin, maybe. What do we really need? So it'd be it'd be Solani and DeBrincat as right wings. Koivu and nobody's on the left wing right now. So left wing is kind of where I'm thinking right now. And we get like a Josh Bailey. I don't know. I've never really ever used him in any type of mode. So 40, 45 points on a good year. Oh, he only wants a 1-year contract. That's interesting. Or we could go a little bit lower, like a JVR. I don't really want to go that low for that. So we could go with like a 1-year deal on Josh Bailey if we really wanted to. That'd be decent, right? 85 overall. Let's see. He'd be playing with Duchesne and DeBrincat. So I'd give it kind of like a two-way forward playmaker sniper combination, depending on how our lines work out. So yeah, let's try it. We've never really used Josh Bailey. So Philadelphia offer him contracts. So let's go, what, 1 year, $5 million? Do like the Wayne Simmons kind of deal, just 1 year, $5 million. Yeah, let's try that. So obviously we still have Shea, we still have Parsons, and we still have whoever the last guy was, which should be any day here. So let's get up to that. And there it is. So Sam Bennett was the other guy that I think. So playoffs-wise, he's coming to our team. Brady Shea. Okay, so that sucks very badly. So I want to put a locker room that has few issues and good team chemistry. Sadly, I can't say that about your team right now. I mean, 67% is not that bad, especially when I just traded basically like one of the faces of the franchise. So without him, now we have to look for someone else. So the next kind of person I saw was maybe Will Butcher, maybe a TJ Brody. Probably one of the top two here I'd actually go for. So Will Butcher, what does he kind of do? So he kind of puts up 25-ish average points a year. He's more offensive, 29 years old, 5-year deal he wants. Or we go TJ Brody, the little path less traveled here. What could he do? So he's kind of dropped down in his production. So he's no longer in his kind of peak. So if we offered a Butcher like $6 million at like maybe like 6.25 at like 3 years, just kind of get a taste and see if it works, kind of thing. And then maybe by that time Zitkov would be really good, and we can put him on the first line and kind of see what happens. So let's try out Butcher. Let's see if we can get him. So Anaheim, New Jersey, Minnesota, and Pittsburgh are all interested in Will Butcher. So let's go a little bit higher, actually. Let's go 6.5. I know we just got rid of a contract, with Fowler, but he just wasn't performing up to it. So as long as Butcher can put up consistently 25 points per year, we'd be happy. But once again, Will Butcher does not sign with us. So our next option is what? So Bailey's still pending. So who else is left? So we still have Brody there. However, his asking price is way too high right now. So, oh geez, this kind of puts us in a crappy spot. Let's go see what's on the trade block, see what's going on there, and then let's come back and hopefully figure out the rest of our team going into next year. So I think I found a trade that actually makes sense, finally. So obviously it's been only a couple seconds for you, but it's been a while for me. So we found Ryan McDonough on the trade block from Tampa Bay, and they want to get rid of him, obviously. But what also I found is they want Jonathan Toews. So I'm not sure why they wanted Jonathan Toews. He'd be a fourth liner for them. So I'm not exactly sure. But obviously to make this trade work, we got to throw in some other pieces. So we threw in Poulin up here and a unsigned prospect center with a little bit of trade value. So it looks higher on my side than theirs. However, I'm not really going to question it right now because I'm kind of sick of trying to make trades work at this point. So let's see if it goes through. And of course it doesn't. So they didn't want to take the contract of Jonathan Toews. It seems to be a reoccurring theme with pretty much every single team. It's for 1 year, people. It is not going to hurt you, especially when you're giving up more money than you're getting, which I just don't understand. So we already got rid of Kane, but we just haven't gotten rid of Toews yet. So I don't know. Eventually, we're going to find a team that's going to be willing to take him, and he's going to be taken off our books. But until that point, there we go. So it only takes half of his salary retained to do it, along with Poulin and I don't remember the other guy's name. But finally, he gets traded. Trade away the face of the franchises. Obviously, we get a top line defenseman. But now we just need to fill in our left wing spot. So where that leaves us now is we have kind of four centers there with Shen looking to make the jump. Then left wings go. We have basically Koivu and Jenner. Right wings, we have Solani and DeBrincat. So we need some depth pieces now as far as our forwards go. Because we have what? That's 2, 4... 6, 7, 8. We have 8. So we have some pieces to fill in, basically. Like, we can fill in our fourth line pretty easily with the guys that are looking to make the jump. But it's going to be interesting. So we got a bunch of new talent on our team going forward. Obviously, with McDonough and Boquist up as our top two right now. Lindgren is probably going to drop down to that second line. Maybe not. We'll have to find out. We got Severson there, Marcinko there, Yaros. We got some pretty good young guys there. But as for right now, let's try to find some depth pieces to play on that third line with McLeod and kind of see where it goes from there. I completely forgot. We're still in on Josh Bailey. That has not gone through yet. Finally, there it is. 1 year deal for Josh Bailey, $5 million. Completely forgot about that. So now we just need probably like 1 or 2 players to kind of fill in those depth roles for us. So let's go check them out, see what's going to go on here. Here we are at the preseason. What a crazy offseason it has been. We've traded 2 faces of the franchise. We've overhauled our roster. We got rid of some players, we got some new players, and a whole bunch of new stuff has happened this year. So let's get right into the new roster going forward. Now, obviously, like usual, this is not the final roster, but I would say a good majority of these guys are going to be here when the season starts. So obviously, you guys remember our top 6 from last year, with the exception of the new Josh Bailey. But as you guys didn't see, I did try to go get a couple of players that weren't really getting offers on the in free agency, such as James Van Riemsdyk. I know we talked about him before, but he actually wanted a very, very low contract, $2.5 million, 1 year, nothing crazy. So he's going to be starting on the third line with Michael McLeod. And I did try to get Jordan Eberle. He did want like a similar contract as JVR. However, he went to a different team. So here's where we sit in preseason. Thomas and Shin, I should say, both from the AHL, trying out for spots. Bennett from free agency, obviously Bailey from free agency. So we got some new faces on the team. Over on the defensive side, we got Lindgren and Boquist, our top line from last year. And then our second line looks a little bit different. We got Ryan McDonough on that second line. And I'm going to try out Severson with him just to kind of see how that works. And then Zitkov with Yaros on that third line pair. Good chance that's probably what I'm going to stick with if they play well on defense. On goaltender, pretty expected right there. Saros and Parsons, 2 guys we have signed for the NHL. Scratch, we don't have a ton of guys this year that are competing for spots, but we have Zane Elliott and Mackenzie Entwistle. I don't really know how to pronounce that, but those 2 guys are there. So we're going to have a little bit of a preseason battle, but nothing too crazy this year. Some new faces, guys like Josh Bailey that I'm actually pretty excited about. As far as, expectations, obviously it's to make the playoffs. We got a better top 6 this year. I would say better top 4, but now is kind of be this time to try to get that top 4 defenseman for the right side. May end up throwing Severson in that trade depending on, how it works out as far as everything goes. But, with Yaros playing well, might end up giving someone from that second line spot. So don't be surprised if we start our next episode or even the second episode of the year where we go try to get that top 4 defenseman for that right side. But I think I'm going to leave you guys off right now. Everything looks pretty good for the time being. Obviously, a little bit of a battle going forward, but nothing too crazy this year. But I am excited for this upcoming year because we kind of squeaked out last year, got into the playoffs, but a very disappointing end. So hopefully that doesn't happen to us this year, and hopefully it's a lot better year for us. But if you guys did enjoy, hit the like button down below. If you haven't already, hit the subscribe button. And as always, guys, we'll see you next time.